हरिः कर्ता।
So, data acquisition refers to the process of collecting or gathering data from various sources. It involves capturing, recording, and storing data in a format that can be used for analysis, processing, or further utilization. And under data acquisition, we will be using techniques from various categories such as data collection, data integration, data cleaning, data formatting, data sampling, data storage. So now we will deep dive into the each of the category, and we will take one example for each technique. So let's begin with data collection. So under which we have the manual data collection, data APIs, and web scraping, and we'll take a poll example with the Python SQL. Okay, so let's begin with manual data collection. So let me write down manual data collection. So we'll use we'll read data from a CSV file directly. I don't want to use a pandas at this moment, so we can, without that we can do. So that's the reason. Import CSV, and let's check data is equals to empty collection, then with open, obviously open function, so I have to give the file name. So file name that I have here is plants.csv. I wanted to get it in. Okay, so I wanted to get it in a read mode as file. So reader is equal to csv dot reader method, and then read that file. Then next, so it will take you to the next line each time, and then for row in reader, so data dot append the each row, and finally let's print it. Let's see how it will be done. Sorry, so we got the high, that's not the row. Let me print the data, and this is what is your data set. Okay, that's how the data has been printed. Now let's use pandas, a manual loading for the pandas. Let me simple manual loading, and let's import pandas as pd. Okay, let me say data1 that is equals to pandas dot read csv, and let me check the file name here, plants.csv, and execute. And here you would find data frame with the respective data. How nice it is. Yep, this is the first technique under data collection. This is a manual data collection. Now let's look into the data API. So how can we gather data through API? So let's take data through APIs. Okay, so here in this case we have to import. We can work on, there are different types of APIs. One is a REST API, so the widely used. Even at Volvo we use a REST API, and I had hands-on huge amount of work experience on REST API specifically, and that too those are customized to the Volvo. Okay, so let's work on retrieving data from a REST API. Okay, so for that we have to import requests. Then once the request has been imported, now you have to create a requests object. Basically, let's take a sample data first. So let's create a response object, and from requests let's take a get method. So inside the get method I have to give basically a URL. So let me take HTTPS, a public URL. So JSON placeholder dot type a code dot com posts. So that's what is our response object. So now let's check the status code to ensure a successful request. That's 200 indicates the successful here. Very important. If you are not sure about how to work with the API, how to handle the API data, so I would request you to visit my Postman course. So Intuitive Postman for You. In Intuitive Postman for You course, I have explained complete Postman and with lots of examples, and that too not some public sample API endpoints. I have directly used uh, live endpoints presently some companies are using. So based on that live, because when you work on live endpoints you're gonna face some issues. So the challenges, because the security issues, and then so that's the reason I have used that examples. I would request you to visit that course and learn hands-on on it. Okay, so now let's take if response dot status code is equals to 200, then data is equals to response dot JSON. So let's print data, else print error so response dot status code, that's what. And this is what is your data set we got. Of course it's from public API, so that's the reason the data that you get is a random one that you can't understand anything, but you can see this is in JSON format. JSON format, basically it's the JSON format is, even I have explained what is JSON format, and uh, what is the various other types of formats that we use, and what is JSON format in detail in my other courses that you can find in DevOps. Okay, I have made a course in DevOps and that I have clearly explained about the JSON format with experimentation. Okay, so now this is one example from the public API. Now let me show you the a private API. Okay, a private API. So this is again import requests. Then what we have here is we have to create the requests object first. That's a reference to the request object with the get method is y, and then I have given the respective endpoint. Basically this is just not an URL, this is the endpoint. And after that I have to provide an authentication. Okay, so once I give authentication, so I can see I have called up headers, and this is the information about the headers with respect to the respective endpoint. So uh, so I don't want to show you the data because it's against the policy. So that's the reason I'm not showing it. But however, so by and large this is how it works, and you can use the code. Okay, and you have to provide. So when I click on execute this, it's gonna ask the password of that respective account, API account. So I have to provide the password of the API account, then only it will give me the data. So that's what is the second method under data collection, which is uh, data API. So now the next one that we have here is the third technique. So that is web scraping. So web scraping is also very important for a data scientist, because sometimes we have to work on the data which has to be scrapped from web. So web scraping, that's the third technique under data collection. So extracting extracting data extracting data from a website using most widely we use a beautiful soap beautiful soap. That's what we use heavily. Anyway, let's move ahead. So let's import as usual requests. Then from bs4, that's our package. From bs4 we'll import beautiful soap. Okay, and we got our module. Now it's time to create a response object. Requests dot get. So I need to provide the link. Let me should get back here. Yep. So this is my blog. Okay, I have done various so let's take example anyone. Tuple object type in Python. Yep, there are various images also. Okay, let me go back. I'll take up this handling set data types class object in Python. Yeah, okay, let me go for the sets booleans and this one. Let me copy this URL and come get back to here. Let me give the URL to this. Yep, yeah. So that's what my response. And if you want to see that what's this object, so if name is equal to main print response. Okay, its response is 200, the code is 200, so that means it's absolutely fine, no issue at all. So we got the success code. Anyway, now let's move ahead. So let's take soap reference name. So we'll use a beautiful soap basically to scrap it. So response dot content, and I'm gonna use HTML parser. Sorry, HTML dot parser. Okay. Okay. So no issue with that parser. So now let's extract specific data from HTML elements. So extract specific data from HTML elements. Okay, so title is equal to, let me get the title first. Soap dot title dot string, and let me print it here. Print title. Okay, so the title sets booleans specific object in Python. Obviously this is from MLA. If you have doubt, you can see here. This is what is sets, booleans, and special object in Python. Clear? Now let's uh, get back. Let's scrape the paragraphs. Paragraphs is equal to soap dot find all. Yeah, find all. That's specifically what I mentioned. P. That's for paragraph, and let me print paragraphs. And here is that. So, yep, you got the image in between, obviously, and that's what you can find out. You got the title. That's the first one, and you got the paragraph from here. So uh, a recent addition to the language that's neither mappings nor sequences. And after that, your comment. Okay, here you can see some href. You got the image. You got the image with the numbers. Then you have a few more data, and finally it's closed up. Okay, that's how we do web scraping. So note, when perform web scraping, make sure to review the websites terms of service and respect any scraping policies or limitations they have in place. So these examples demonstrate the basic usage for each method, but you can customize them according to your specific data sources and requirements. So remember to install any necessary libraries. Example requests a beautiful soap for using pip before running these examples. So without installing, if you call up these libraries and packages, it will throw an error, and after that you should not worry about that. So that's the reason. So the if you're absolute beginner, the first task to be done is to install the respective libraries and packages, and then you can import and for the respective use.